It's Alicia, and in this week's live lesson, we're going to talk about how to make a personal study plan. I made a very simple 3-step guide today that I hope you can use, of course, if you are starting a language, any language, not just English. But I also wanted to make this guide something you can use if you have been studying for a while and you are kind of thinking about your next goal. What should I do next? What is the next thing I need to study? Maybe you think you need to just set some new goals for yourself, which is very important to do. So I made a very simple 3-step guide for this today, and we'll talk about it. So as you join, please make sure to hit the like button and of course share this video so that other people can find today's lesson. That would be super cool. If you're watching live, send a message in the chat. If you're not watching live, what's up? Leave a comment. Okay, while we wait for people to join us live, a couple of super quick announcements as always. The first one is about this banner at the bottom of the screen. It says test your level now. The team has a level check test at EnglishClass101.com. If you don't know your level, this could be perfect to do after today's lesson. If you have questions about your level, what should I study next? Check the link below the video on YouTube or above the video on Facebook, and you will find this page. If you have an account at EnglishClass101.com, you can log in. Easy. If you do not have an account, you can make one. It is free. So log in with your name and email address, or sign up with your name and email address, and you can take the team's level check test. So there's some more details on this page. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4-step process if you need some help getting set up. But after the test, you will receive a recommendation based on your answers. So you'll put your information, your answers into the assessment test, the level check test, and you will get some feedback and some ideas for lessons, for courses to take, for pathways. So maybe this is a really good thing to do after today's lesson, yeah, if you have questions, okay? That's announcement number 1. Announcement number 2. If you have questions for me, please send them to me. Please send them to me, but do not send them to me in YouTube comments or Facebook comments or Instagram DMs or Twitter or tweets. I don't even know where else you send them, but those places seem to get a lot of things. But I can't keep track of all of them. There are too many questions out there on the internet. So if you want to send me a question for this Q&A series, our question and answer series, Ask Alicia, please send them to me at the official question submission page. This is at EnglishClass101.com/ask-Alicia. That's very long. So there's a link in the YouTube description, or you can check any episode of Ask Alicia to find the link there. Okay? So please send them to me. Whatever your question is, whatever pops into your head someday, just send it to me. I will read your question for sure. So don't be shy. Please send them to me. I'm always looking for new questions. Also, if you want to find me on social media, if you want my Instagram or Twitter to find, you can find those links in the YouTube description as well. Okay, cool. That's it for our announcements. It looks like everything's rolling. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's live stream. If you missed it, this week's topic is how to create a personal study plan. We're going to do 3 very basic steps. I think it's working now. Hi, Facebook. What's up, Facebook? Ayub, good morning. Someone says, good morning, teacher. I can't see your name. Sorry. Hello. Hi, everybody. What's up, says Saeed. Hi there. And on YouTube, what's up, everybody? Francisco, hello. Antonio, hello. Eduardo from Brazil, hi. From Halil, hi. From Turkey, what's up, Halil? Eunice, hi. Ayub, what's up? Okay, everything's good. I'm going to like the video and share the video. Let's go to today's lesson board. So, I said today I made a very streamlined, simple 3 steps for making a personal study plan today. Ooh. So first we're going to look at how to find, your strong and weak points. So this is a very important step, very important to check yourself sometimes too. Step 2, part 2, Setting goals. If you have been following this channel for a while, you have probably heard me talk about SMART goals. We are going to talk about them again today. 3, we are going to talk about how to create your daily and your weekly steps that match your goal. Okay, so let's get into it. Also, if you haven't, please make sure to like the video, share the video. It helps us with the algorithm. It helps other people find the lesson. Alrighty. Let's go. So first, we are going to start with finding your strong and weak points. Okay? So when you begin this process, a lot of people write to me and they have very low confidence. They're like, I can't do anything. I don't know anything. A lot of people think I'm forever a beginner, but that's not true. If you study the same thing over and over and over, you don't make progress, right? So we need to think about our good points and our kind of challenge points and our stuff that's impossible. So this part, I have 3 kind of key questions to start with. So to find your strong and weak points, first ask, what am I good at in language? What am I good at? So this means, what can I do? What can I do? We're going to talk about this in just a minute. So what are the things I can do? Like I can make a phone call about, I don't know, pizza delivery in English. Or I can introduce myself, I can do those things. So I'm good at that. Second, what is challenging for me? What is challenging? So key point here, challenging. This means it's a little difficult. Not bad, but it's a little difficult for me, okay? So think about this. What is challenging for me? And third, what is impossible for me? What is impossible? That means 100% I cannot do this. I would fail if I tried. So for example, if you're a beginner in your language studies, probably like giving a business presentation is impossible, right? Just no, 100% no, right? So these are the 3 kind of levels. So I can do it, it's a little difficult, and no, definitely not. So a lot of people ask, how do I know? Like I can't imagine all these different situations or these different things to try. So how to know, if you Google or if you check our website too, you can find lists. These are called can-do lists. Can-do lists. So this list, these kinds of lists are they're long lists of basic communication for beginners, like basic communication, and then intermediate communication abilities, and more advanced. So you can go one by one down the list and check, can I do it? Can I do it? Can I do it? And this can help you find your strong points and your weak points. So here's a very, very simple, basic example, yeah? So, for example, I can introduce myself, and then we answer, yes, I can, or a little, or no, right? So in this situation, I said, yes, I can introduce myself. Okay. Second, I can talk about my hobbies. Okay, I can talk about my hobbies in the language I'm studying. Yes, or a little, or no. Okay, in this case, a little. Maybe I can do it a little. Or, third, I can give a business presentation. Yes, a little, maybe no. So for a beginner, probably no. So this one right here, the topics that you mark as it's a little challenging. So I know a little bit, but I think I can't really do it with confidence. These are your focus points. So that means grammar points, vocabulary, like certain topics, or maybe like listening, certain things you have a hard time listening to. These topics, these points that are a little challenging, these are your focus points, your next focus points. So at the beginning of this lesson, I talked about how sometimes people think I'm forever a beginner. And this is because, and sometimes it's because people study the same thing over and over and over because you feel comfortable, right? I'm always going to watch the beginner lesson because I understand it, right? 100%. I feel good when I understand it, right? It's easy for me. I can introduce myself and I feel confident and good. But if you always watch the beginner thing, you don't ever have the chance to practice the next thing, right? So you always just study the same thing over and over and don't make progress forward, right? So these things, these topics that are a little difficult for you are your next step forward. So this is a really important thing to do, not only when you start your language studies, but actually every few months, I think. So after you've studied for a few months, it's really important to check your goals. For a recommendation, let's see, when I went to language school for a different language, we did this. We checked our strong points and weak points about every 3 to 4 months. So in 1 year, about 4 times usually. And that's like studying all year, right? So that might be a good guide for you. Yeah. So make sure you check yourself because after you study these things, maybe this is the next thing you can study. For example, right? You have to check your strong points and your weak points to see what the next step is for you. Yeah. So make sure you spend some time doing this. And I also recommend keep your answers to this. So when I say keep your answers, I mean, when you Google or use our can-do list, when you check yourself with this list, keep your answers. So if you write it in a notebook, keep that, or on a piece of paper, or if you use a notepad or a document on your computer, keep that, and then check it again, or add new answers later, like the next time you do it. You can use these lists to check your progress. So what do I mean? Like if I say, I can talk about my hobbies a little bit now, but like next year, maybe after I study for a long time, I might think, oh, this is easy for me now. Like you can see your progress through your answers to these questions. So this is a really, really good tool for a lot of reasons. So this is first. The first thing is to find your strong points and your weak points. Okay? All right, good. So I'm looking for your questions. Good. Okay, I don't see any questions, but good. Good. Okay, so let's take a super quick break, and then we're going to go to part 2, how to set good goals. If you have been following this channel for many years, you already know the topic I'm going to talk about, but it's so important. So stick around. We're going to refresh your mind. Really, really quickly though, if you missed it earlier, the team has a level check test. It says test your level now here on this banner. If you missed it earlier, you can check the link below the video if you're watching on YouTube, or above the video if you're watching on Facebook, to get this page. You can put in your answers to our level check test, and the test will give you some recommendations for some pathways, some lesson pathways, and some courses to take. So this can be something really good to do after today's lesson. If you want some ideas about where to start, and you're like, I just don't know, I need a little help, you can check this out. It's free. Oh, sorry. It's totally free. So have a look at the lesson test. I hope that's helpful for you. But of course, it's also very important to know for yourself what your strong points and your weak points are, so you can work on building yourself up. Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's go now to point number 2. If you're just joining, today's lesson topic is how to make a personal study plan. I'm going to talk now about goal setting. It's very good to talk about this. I talk about this in live streams about 3 or 4 times a year. There's a very specific reason for that. So let's go to part 2, setting goals. So how do we set goals? All right, so as I said, I have talked about goal setting many times on this channel. So I'd like to talk a lot about this concept, a SMART goal. SMART goal. What is a SMART goal? So When we say set goals, we say we are setting a target, right? The next thing we want to achieve, yeah? But sometimes people set unclear goals, or they set goals that are just not possible. It's not realistic. And that's not good for your confidence. It's not good for like your mental state. So don't do that. Choose a good goal to start. So what is a SMART goal? A SMART goal has these 5 points about it, okay? So a SMART goal, the S means it's specific. It's a specific goal. So you don't choose a really, really big idea, right? You choose a small thing. Maybe not small, but it's very clear. It's not learning all the vocabulary words in English. That's not a specific goal, right? So your goal is specific. It's very clear. Second, the M means it is measurable. Measurable means so we can measure this. What does measure mean? For example, 100 vocabulary words. Did I learn it or not? We can measure. We can check that. Or did I learn 10 grammar points? Yes? No. So we can measure this goal, right? So your goal is something you can measure, something you can check. Third, achievable. Achievable. So can I do it? So for example, if I say I'm going to learn all the English vocabulary words this month, it's not achievable, right? It's not possible. Unless you're a robot, I don't know. So achievable, something you can actually do. Next, realistic. So realistic, does that match your schedule? Does it match your schedule, your study schedule? Does it match the time you have in the week? Does it match like your personality, maybe? So is this a realistic goal? And finally, time-based. In the past, I've said timely, but I think maybe time-based is a little more clear. So it's good to have a deadline. So what's your time frame? What's the period of time you are going to use for your goal? Okay, so a SMART goal has all of these things. Okay, so let's look at examples of goals I see all the time that are not SMART. So many of you write to me, my goal is to become fluent. This is not a SMART goal. Or my goal is to talk like a native speaker. This is not a SMART goal. So, of course, when we study a language, we want to do these things. But for studies, for your regular weekly studies, these are not very good goals to have, right? Why? These are not specific. To become fluent. What does it mean to be fluent? We cannot measure this. I mean, we can take a proficiency test, but it's not perfect. Is it achievable? Well, we don't know. I mean, how much time do you have? Realistic? Maybe, like over many years. There's no timeline for this as well. Same problem here. We cannot measure these things. They are not specific. They don't give us a target, like our next target to work towards. So these goals don't really help you very much. Of course, you want to speak fluently. Of course, we all do when we study a language. But you need to think about setting a goal so that mentally you can focus on the next target, right? So, how do we do that? Here are 3 examples of SMART goals. First, my goal is to learn 300 new vocabulary words by October. Here's a SMART goal. So, specific, 300 new vocabulary words. Got it. Okay. Is it measurable? Yes, 300. Did I get 300 or not? So we can measure very easily. Is it achievable? Is it possible to do this? Yes, definitely. Is it realistic? In my case, maybe? Yes, this is a decent goal. Time-based. Yes, we have a deadline by October. So this is a SMART goal, right? So this goal is not, I'm going to be fluent by October. This goal is, I'm going to do this specific thing by October. This is a SMART goal, okay? Second, here's another example. My goal is to be able to make a restaurant reservation on the phone by next month. Okay, again, this is a very small, like very narrow goal, right? But it's a smart one. It's specific. A restaurant reservation, that's a very specific target. Is it measurable? Yes. So, can I do it? Did I make the reservation or did I fail? Did I hang up the phone? Okay, is it achievable? Maybe for this person, yes, it's possible. Is this a realistic goal? I think so, very realistic. Time-based, yes, next month is the deadline. Okay, so these are specific goals. Of course, everybody has a different level, so your realistic goals might be different from someone else's, but these are much better goals because they give you a target. Last, my goal is to finish my advanced grammar textbook in 6 months. Okay, so again, we have specific, advanced grammar textbook. I want to finish this thing. Is it realistic? Maybe for this advanced learner, yes, I can do this in 6 months, right? So these goals are not very helpful for you as learners and for me as well. When I say, oh, I want to be fluent in a language, what does that even mean? I want to speak fluently. Of course we do. But to do that, we need small goals and small targets inside our regular study program. So make sure to take some time to be specific about your targets, and not just for language, yeah? What's the next thing I'm going to work on? It's a good idea to have some good goals. Okay, cool. All right, so let me see. Some people are writing some interesting things. Everybody's saying hello for the most point. Itat Saronas on Facebook says, hello, Alicia. How do we know when we have done our goal? How do we know when we have achieved our goal? It's a good question. So look at the goal you set. So to know, for example, with your goal, when you achieved it, for example, this one, 300 new vocabulary words. That means you need to track. So I learned a new word today, or I studied flashcards today. I learned 10 new words today. So track. That means you have to track your progress. Keep records. So keep a notebook or use your computer or something like that. Or use, like if you study with us on the website, you can use our tracking there. So track your progress. What did I do every day? Then you know, oh, I reached my goal. And that's a pretty good feeling. So I hope that helps. Okay. All right. So other questions. I'm looking for other questions that are related to today's lesson topic. Okay. I'm going to continue on to another quick break, and then we'll go to the last part about creating your daily and your weekly steps. So if you missed it, very quickly, the team has this Test Your Level Now banner today. If you have not checked this out, the link below the video on YouTube and above the video on Facebook will take you to this page where you can find the link up here. If you log in here with your EnglishClass101.com account, you can access the assessment test, the level check test. It will give you some ideas for some courses and some paths to take on our website. So this can be a good place to start. It's really closely related to today's lesson topic as well. So if you're not sure where to start, or if you did like the can-do list, you checked your strong points and weak points, you're like, oh wow, where should I start? This could be a really good thing to check out. So link below the video or above the video, check it out. It is free. Don't worry about that. Okay? All right. Let's go. I'm looking for questions about today's topic. People are asking me, how many words, Cesar says, how many words do I need to learn by month? It's up to your needs. It's up to your strong points and your weak points. So if you missed part 1, you need to review that. So there's no perfect answer for everybody. We all have different goals and different needs depending on what we want to look at next, right? So my answer is different from your answer. All right. So let's go to part 3. Create your daily and weekly steps. So inside your goal, what do you do? So you have a goal. Okay, great. Now you need to decide what you're going to do every day or every week to reach that goal, right? You can't say, okay, my goal is to learn 300 vocabulary words by October. bye. And then you don't do anything, right? It doesn't work. You have to do something. So how do you do that? So you have to create daily and weekly steps to achieve your goal. So for example, choose your study days and times. So for some people, this is really important to do if it's difficult to make a time. So when are you going to study? When are you going to work on your goal? For example, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7 p.m. Okay, I have 1 hour on these days. I will use this time. Okay, so these are very important things to do, because if you don't make time for your goals, you won't work toward your goals, right? You have to make some time to do those things. All right. Here's another example. I like this one. I used to do this every morning. So every morning on the way to work, maybe you listen to a podcast, or you watch a video on the train. Or in my case, I loved using, well, I shouldn't say I loved, but my favorite time to study was on the way to work and on the way back from work. That was my vocabulary study time every day, like maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I learned so many vocabulary words in that time. Like that was like 30 minutes a day of study time. I like that one. Okay, so use your time. Make sure to use some time to work on your goals. Next, choose your study resources. Choose resources that match your personal goals. So this, I think, is one thing that really slows down the learning process. Like you have a goal. Okay, great. I have my goal. I have a time of the week. And then you get to your desk, or like you sit down with your phone and you're like, I don't know what to use to study. And so then you're like, oh no, what should I do? So decide that before the study session. Decide, I'm going to use this textbook. I'm going to use this website. I'm going to use this flashcard app. Whatever it is. Decide that before the study session. So when you sit down, when it's time to study, you are ready to go. You know, okay, I'm going to study 20 minutes, this topic, or I'm going to do this for 1 hour today. So don't think about it every time you sit down. Make it easy for yourself to study. Yeah? So make sure you choose resources that match your personal goals. So what does this mean? For example, if your study goal is to learn 300 vocabulary words, maybe you should use flashcards, right? You need to study vocabulary. Or maybe you decide to use news articles and keep notes of new words that way. So this is maybe a nice match for your goal. Maybe like a podcast isn't such a great match for that goal. Maybe you'll learn some new words here and there, but a podcast isn't so like vocabulary focused. Do you know what I mean? So make sure you choose resources that match your personal goals. Another example, lots of students write and they say, I want to improve my speaking skills. I want to do that. What should I do? And they don't talk about any speaking practice. Yeah? Like you can't learn much speaking from a textbook, right? If you only read, it's just input. You have to create output situations too. So conversation practice with partners, talking to yourself at home as well, shadowing exercises, and so on. So choose the resources, choose study resources that match your personal goals. So for example, flashcards for vocabulary especially, and expressions, phrases. Podcasts if you need to work on your listening skills. Textbooks, this is maybe great for grammar and for reading and so on. Video lessons, of course, are good for listening and depending on the lesson, maybe vocabulary or grammar points. Journals to practice your writing skills. News articles for reading skills, vocabulary, and so on. So make sure your study resource matches your study goals. Okay? So this is very important. Create your daily and your weekly steps to work towards your goal. You need to make sure you spend time working on your goal. If you just set a goal and walk away, it's not going to magically happen, right? And like anything else, right? If you say, oh, I want to get a new job, but you never look for it or you never apply for a new job, how are you going to find a new job? You have to take action. So make sure to do that. All right. It's time to be done. I'm late, as always. I talked too much. So, let's see. Israel says, it's my first time in your live. Hello, welcome to the live stream. My question, where can I find a good vocabulary list to study? Good question. There are many vocabulary lists on the internet. Of course, I'm going to recommend the one that we have at EnglishClass101.com. If you have not studied there, there are vocabulary lists of like the most commonly used words. So for example, like the 2,000 most common words, like by frequency, that's generally a really good place to start in any language. Like you study the most common words first. So don't study like really rare or specific vocabulary words first. Study with like the most common words first. So we have that at EnglishClass101.com. Of course, there are many other places on the internet with like different flashcard and vocabulary decks and so on. But I would recommend if you want to improve vocabulary, start with those common words first. Make sure you are really comfortable with the most common words first. That will help you a lot in reading and writing, listening, everything. Okay. Other things. Let's see. Other questions? Hello to everybody saying hello. Welcome. All right. I don't see other questions, so I have to finish today's lesson. But thanks for joining me, and thanks for sending your questions and comments today. If you want to take a screenshot of today's lesson boards, now is your last chance. All right, so today we talked about how to find your strong and weak points. 2, we talked about SMART goals, how to set good goals for yourself. And 3, how to create your daily and your weekly steps for study. So today's lesson, I wanted today's lesson to be a very simple, easy to understand process. So make sure you do this a few times a year so you can check yourself and see where the next thing is, right? Your next step is. So this is good to do, not just for language, but generally. Yeah, how are things going? So check in with yourself, okay? All right, let's finish. That's it for today. I'll be back next week. Next week's lesson information. Where is it? Next week's lesson topic. Next lesson will be Wednesday, August 3rd at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is New York City time. If you don't know your local time, please Google it. Or you can set a notification on YouTube, on Facebook, or if you follow me on Instagram, there is always going to be a link and a topic reminder in my stories. Next week's topic will be how to talk about summer activities. How to talk about summer activities. So I wanted to make a vocabulary lesson specifically for enjoying your vacation time. So please check next week's lesson for some good summer vocabulary. All right, I will say goodbye for this week. Thank you for joining me as always. Thank you for liking and sharing the video. Really appreciate that. I hope today's lesson was useful for you. That is all for now. Don't forget to do the level check test if you think it might help you get some ideas. You can find the link for that below the video on YouTube and above the video. If you're watching on Facebook, go above the video outside the chat box. So find it there. All right, good luck with that. If you want to find me on social media, you can find the links in the YouTube description. And to send me your questions for the Ask Alicia series, you can also find the link in the YouTube description too. Woo! All right, so have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a nice